Hey guys, what's up? Hope you guys are having a good day. Today I'll be reacting to a battle between the killer whale, aka the orca, vs the giant squid. Alright, let's get to it.
Killer whale versus giant squid. Who would win? Be thankful your ancestors didn't require you to have gills and live in the water, because the ocean is a terrifying place.
If you guys know the answer, you can comment. You're playing the
Giants lurking in the deep, killers that move with such speed, they
reason
make
why
an Olympic swimmer look like a sloth. Perfect examples of these specimens are the killer whale and the giant squid. Enormous animals that dwarf many in their path. So what would happen if the two fought? Who would win this gigantic underwater battle? And once that subscribe button isn't submerged underwater and dries
by hunting these,
off, pat it dry and tap it for updates.
and of course,
What do they look like?
are strong.
There's a lot of humongous animals in the ocean. Let's make sure we know just which giants that we're talking about. The killer whale, also called the orca, is a toothed whale that is part of the dolphin family. The killer whale is by far the largest member of the dolphin family. The males are generally 25 feet long and 6 tons, which is 12,000 pounds. But they can reach 32 feet and 20,000 pounds in some instances. Killer whales have a distinctive look with their pigmentation, mainly featuring black coloring across their body with patches of white, especially the lower jaw and the underside. When you look at the body of a killer whale, it is similar to a dolphin's body if you blew it up and made it more robust. They're muscular and extremely powerful animals with rounded pectoral fins that look a bit like paddles. The dorsal fins are much larger in the males and are shaped like an isosceles triangle, whereas the female's fins are more curved, like that of a shark's fin. Then you have the giant squid, who couldn't look more different from the killer whale. We've all seen octopuses and squids, the smaller guys, but what's the difference? One distinction is that an octopus has 8 appendages and a squid has 10. Most squids are about 2 to 3 feet long, which is what makes the giant squid such an interesting case. He isn't just the biggest kind of squid, he is enormous compared to his cousins. A giant squid can be 40 feet in total length, 50 feet. One was even recorded at 59 feet long and weighed nearly a ton. The giant squid, like all squids, has 10 appendages. However, 8 are classified as arms and the other 2 are longer tentacles. The insides of the arms and tentacles are lined with
of course, they will
hundreds of suction cups, the circumference of these cups being lined with sharp serrated chitin, which is essentially the teeth. Giant squids do have small fins at the rear of their mantles. They also have a pair of gills and a beak. Not only is the giant squid the largest living invertebrate, he also has the largest eyes of any living animal. Should be easy for him to see you. So where can you see him? Where do they live? So obviously you can find the giant squid in the ocean, but that isn't narrowing it down. The ocean's
monograndiose EDP. Upgrade to the gold standard of perfume.
The oceans cover over 70%
orcas,
of the Earth's surface. So where in the expansive oceans can it be found? Well, there have been giant squids found in several areas in the Atlantic Ocean off the North American coast, as far south as Florida and as far north as Greenland, as well as off the coasts of European countries like Norway, England, Iceland, and near the Azores, and even in pockets off the coast of northwestern Africa. There have been giant squids in the Pacific Ocean off the coasts of the contiguous United States, Hawaii, and even Japan, and then many found in the Southern Ocean off the coasts of the south of Africa,
the killer whale,
Australia, and New Zealand. They're usually found in deep, cold waters off of continental and island slopes, and though it isn't completely known, the estimates are that they inhabit areas between 1,000 and 3,000 feet deep. Now, if you're looking for killer whales, well, they can be found all over. They can be located in all oceans and most seas. They prefer higher latitudes and coastal areas over pelagic environments. Really, killer whales can be found everywhere, near Norway and Iceland, off the western coast of the US, near California and Alaska, near New Zealand, Argentina, Antarctica, you name it. However, their migration patterns are poorly understood. Researchers will see the same pods arrive in places like British Columbia every summer.
Migrate
summer,
They
but
were
they are unsure exactly where they go the rest of the year.
oceans.
What do they eat? We may not know exactly where the killer whales are going through much of the year, but we know one thing they're doing wherever they are:
King
eating.
orcas, they were
Eating lots of different marine life.
anything.
They typically stay in more shallow
Seals,
waters to catch their
squid,
prey, but
fish,
depending on where they live and what their prey is, they be known to dive over 1,000 feet for food. Some of the main animals that they feast on are cephalopods, mammals, seabirds, sea turtles, and of course fish. The killer whales near Norway and Greenland will follow the migration patterns of herring in order to eat them. Killer whales in the Pacific will eat a lot of salmon.
If one
In
do
many
fish
regions, and
climate,
especially in New Zealand, killer whales will
it's
eat plenty of stingrays and
moving books
sharks.
and
The sharks they may eat include hammerheads, mako,
sharks. The great one
blue
was the
sharks,
one that
and yes, even the baddest shark of them all, the great white shark. The reason orcas were dubbed killer whales long ago
no
was because fishermen saw them hunting, killing, and eating other whales,
cannot
larger
do anything, and the orcas will eat
whales.
slowly.
So really, there isn't much the killer whale
He
can't
was
take down
precious
if he decides he wants to.
to
The
it.
giant squid, since he lives at such great depths,
Maybe
eats a lot of deep sea fish, which includes the orange ruffy and the blue grenadier. Any other creatures in the deep sea are up for game too, like shrimp and krill. It's been suggested the giant squid may occasionally attack and eat smaller whales when they are able to. And when food is scarce, yes, they will even eat smaller squids. They may be related, but they are not the same, and they are so much smaller.
Actually, not. The killer whale isn't the only.
The
Isn't
giant
only
squid is an excellent example of abyssal gigantism, meaning he is far larger than his shallow watered cousins due to the fact that he lives at such great depths. He can grow so much larger. He doesn't look at smaller squids as friends, he looks at them as food. How do they behave in the wild? So, what does a giant squid do when he wants to have a meal? Well, remember those giant eyes, bigger than any other animal's eyes? They're not just for show. Giant squids have excellent vision and even use light emitted from bioluminescent creatures in the deep waters to find their prey. They use those two long tentacles to reach out and snatch prey from a distance. Now remember those suction cups on his arms and tentacles, the ones with the teeth on them? Yeah, those have incredible abilities to hold the prey tightly so they can't get away. The giant squid brings the prey in towards the other 8 arms where the prey is then shredded and brought into the beak to be eaten. Usually the giant squid is seen alone, suggesting that they largely live solitary lives. The killer whale is quite the opposite. Killer whales live in pods which could be anywhere from 5 to 30 individuals, but they'll sometimes
That's a large part.
combine their pods with others and could be in a group of 100 individuals. Typically, the pod will be made up of mothers, daughters, sisters, cousins, and their children. The males will do one of a few things. They may live with a pod their entire life, but leave temporarily to mate. They may leave and start their own pod, or they may become a lone male. Their social structures are so complex that they can only be compared to the complex social structures of elephants and primates. This is why when killer whales are taken away from their families and held in captivity, they go, well, killer. And in the wild, boy, do they go killer there too. Killer whales have a variety of ways that they hunt. They use their echolocation to find their prey in the water, and then from there they have a whole repertoire of moves. They will often coordinate attacks together, ambushing their prey suddenly, sometimes herding them into a specified area, and blocking off escape routes before attacking. When going after fish,
Day.
they'll slap their enormous tails at them to stun them and make them easier to catch. When going after seals, they may throw themselves from the water out onto the beaches just to grab a meal, allowing the waves to pull them back in after. They may hunt whales and force them deep below the water, ramming them, biting them, exhausting them, and causing them to eventually run out of air. If it's a fish or a shark that doesn't need air below the surface, then the killer whales may employ the opposite technique: force them up. Orcas don't just kill, they kill any way that they need to. What if they fought? You're hearing about how these animals are both enormous, how they both dominate their prey, so you're thinking,
If they fight, I already mentioned it.
what if the two of them fought? Who would win between a killer whale and a giant squid? Both are successful predators, apex predators in their habitats. Both are among the largest predators
Giant
of
squid
the
can
ocean, but
introduce
technically neither is the largest predator in the ocean.
scarring.
That title belongs to a sperm whale.
Mostly,
Here's the
giant squid will end up eaten by these mammals.
thing. Pods of killer whales have taken down sperm whales. Sperm whales have gone after giant squids to later be found with marks left on their heads from those vicious
What do you
suction cups.
expect? Sorry guys, I had to pause.
Killer whales often hunt in pods, but this killer whale is alone. That's okay. He can hunt alone too. The giant squid is used to hunting alone. Sometimes he hunts for whales.
Orcas, if
Sometimes the killer whale
they
hunts for
are,
cephalopods.
they
Appears that they
and
both look at the other as a potential meal. The giant squid can move quickly, soaring through the water at 25 miles per hour. He
still very much for a giant squid.
could close the gap quickly on the killer whale, but the killer whale can close the gap even quicker, hitting speeds of 35 miles per hour. However, the giant squid has the long range attack,
25 miles
extending
per
those massive tentacles out at the killer whale and latching on with those killer suction cups. See, the giant squid is not just much larger than the killer whale. His tentacles are so long that he could grab onto the killer whale from a distance. However, when the giant squid is looking for small whales to hunt, he generally is not looking for a killer whale. These things are too fast, too agile, and too
And if the giant squids
powerful.
trap
Those
people
suction cups
in
and teeth could do some damage if the giant squid
this
managed to
this
latch on. But if
cephalopod
the killer whale didn't evade them in the first place,
has
he'd likely break free from them anyway.
does
And then, which way would you like the killer whale to fight? He's got many ways. His powerful tail could be slapped into the body of the giant squid, doing damage. The giant squid would be attempting to latch on
see you guys later.
with his tentacles, all while the killer whale is employing other attacks